Hello. Happy vlog day. It's Thursday. I am just getting out the gym. I told y'all yesterday the beach kind of like wore me out. I got home and like kind of got to work and then kind of like got to life. So yeah. Sorry, not sorry. I just got home from the gym. This is what I'm eating. I need to fuel up. I feel I didn't do what's on my face. I didn't do a lot of workouts. I just did intense workouts. And so now I feel like I need food. Don't know why. Usually when I come home, I eat a light, very light breakfast. But I was like, you know what, girl, let's get some greens and some protein and some good carbs in. Yeah. Okay. I'm also here to talk to you guys about what I said I was going to talk to you guys about. Yeah. I'm like, we're going to eat and chat, I guess. Bendy chat, eat and chat. I don't know. Whatever. I didn't pray. Hold on. I think this is what I'm about to receive for nourishment of my body and in my pray. Amen. Hope we're gonna bless this food. Okay. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I'm in a new series. Well, actually, by the time this posts, the series will be over. But I was in a series called Rejection Wounds. And God put it on my heart. I had asked the people they wanted to learn about it or hear about it. And so I talked about it. I want to be clear about a few things. I never put out stuff that I have not either walked through, been through, experienced, or that I am currently in. And I'm gonna be honest, I thought that like I had walked through the season of like knowing and understanding my own rejection wounds. And lo and behold, while I was in the series, another one had come up. And so let me give you guys clarity, right? And so like let's start with what a rejection wound is. And I have notes and I'm like, I could explain it in my terms, but I just feel like giving a solid like definition, you know? Yeah. Anyway, um, so rejection wounds aren't just about someone saying no or like, like people say, oh, like, because I experienced it because someone left me, ended a relationship, etc. It's an emotional imprint from moments where you felt unseen, unwanted, abandoned, or not enough. And they can show up in subtle ways in your identity, relationships, even your relationship with God. Okay. Because sometimes we feel abandoned by Him too. But if you know your word and you know your Jesus, you know He never leaves us. Sometimes He got to sit back because He like, you got your hand on the wheel too. And I told you, take it off. Okay. So there are a few types of rejection wounds, and these are really like a lot of these I've experienced. So parental rejection, that's the first one that came up in therapy. And that's where I was like, oh, here it goes. And like I thought I was getting to the root, but I was getting to the root of that specific one. And not that I haven't dealt with anything else. It just was like I thought that that's where it started. Let me just I'm fast forwarding, sorry. So parental rejection, do I need to go through what it looks like? I'm just like, I'm gonna just say this. It's one of the deepest roots because it's your foundation, right? Romantic rejection. That's from breakups, betrayal, abandonment, or unreciprocated love. Peer or social rejection. This also starts in childhood or teenage years but follows into adulthood. Self rejection. This one is internal but usually learned from external experiences. Performance based rejection. Love or acceptance tied to what you do, not who you are. Spiritual rejection. Um, uh, this is basically feeling like God is distant or like He doesn't hear you or like He left you, what we just talked about. And identity based rejection, being rejected for who you are at your core. Okay, so these are a few. There's situational rejection, like there are a few, but most of these come into our lives like when we are young. We think that they're like just popping up now, but they took root when you were a kid. I promise you. If you start to like unpack every time you might have felt those feelings that you're feeling in this moment, like meaning like you notice, oh, I think this is a rejection wound, and it's like, where did it come from? And you start unpacking it, you start going back, you're gonna find it in your childhood somewhere before you hit like preteen or in the preteen area. I promise you, you're gonna find it. Okay. I need, hold on, before my food get cold for me chatting y'all up. Mm-hmm. 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 I don't know who need to hear this, but sauteed collard greens are just as good as stewed collard greens. If you know how to cook, they will hit. I don't know, it's something about collard greens, the seasoning, the way it soaks it up. I don't know. Sauteed collard greens are that girl. I actually saw somebody put collard greens in a salad, and I was like, we might have to try. Ooh, that wasn't cute. All right, I'm like, how do I want to eat this? Some of this stuff don't go together. It's like it's two meals put together. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. We're back for real this time. So I was saying that they come from your childhood, preteen, teen, like right in that cusp on down, because I experienced a lot of mine when I was like 5 and didn't even really understand it. And another thing is we will think like okay, I had the understanding that I had a layered combination of these, but I thought by uprooting one or dealing with the, like the main one, the deepest one, which is parental, right? That it's cool. I'm like uprooting everything. No, absolutely not. And these are just the things that the Holy Spirit was highlighting to me as I was in the series. Like, letting me understand and know, like, you still got a little bit more work to do. And I'm not afraid of the work. And I wasn't saying that I was completely healed, because I'm, again, and even in the series, I'm like, I'm walking through this right now with like just conquering and understanding and uprooting and moving through it. I'm just speaking about it with you, right? Same thing I'm doing now. It's just that I didn't have the understanding that I do completely, of that, the fact that like each one needs to be uprooted, each one needs to be addressed, not just the deepest one that created the root, right? And then all these little baby roots branched off from these things over time. Like, you have to deal with all of them. And so in dealing with my parental one, I was like, all right, I have come to a space where I've forgiven my parents for the things that they may have lacked or not even understood, because as a parent myself and now a full grown like adult, I'm starting to understand the impact of like, you know what you know, like, and then the people around you, your village, like, you know what you know. You can't learn something or teach your kids things that you don't understand or know. Like, it's up to us to obviously go out and get the knowledge as parents, but you just you do the best you can with what you got. And I had to really, really, really understand that as a mom, as a parent myself. Like, that's the nature of this thing, right? You do the best you can with what you got, in hopes that you don't damage your children, in hopes that you're teaching them the right thing. But I think the other side of that is also being humble enough to know that I don't know everything, humble enough to know that I may have made mistakes that I need to apologize for, that I need to correct, that my children have the opportunity to correct me, in a obviously a respectful way, but like, hey, that didn't feel good. Hey, I don't think that's right. Hey, can we do it this way? Hey, I don't like when, like, just giving them space and opportunity to do that. And now I know that I've dropped the ball on that. So I had some work to do with my own child. So, like, in that, I was able to uproot the bitterness I would feel towards both of my parents, my biological parents and even my step parents, because I have two. So I'm like dealing with four, you know, and it was freeing. So it was like, oh, here, let's go. This is great. I'm building better relationships with them. I'm even talking to my biological father. Like, there's just a lot happening that's just like healing the little girl inside of me. And then I get in this series, and God is like, yeah, but you got these other ones you need to deal with, sis. Come on. We got to deal with these other ones. You said that there's a layered combination, and you can't just uproot the one thinking that the rest are going to go with it. So when understanding that, I was like, oh man, I'm going to have to talk to these people about it. All right, cool. So here we are having the conversation about, like, I want to give a little bit of practical advice. If you feel like you may have been dealing with a rejection wound, if you go and watch the series, if you heard something today and you feel like you're dealing with a little bit of these things, or some that, like, you start to see yourself in what I'm saying, I want you to ask yourself a question: where did it start? Where did it begin? And walk yourself through situations. Like, it's going to take a lot of unpacking, a lot of journaling, a lot of like sitting with things that may feel uncomfortable. But in order to actually deal with them, you don't have to relive them, but you do have to go back to that moment so you can understand them. If it's one thing I hate, it's cold coffee. And I'm not going to the kitchen right now. Yikes. Yeah, so like you have to sit in those moments. It's gonna get uncomfortable. You might cry. You might spend a lot of time in that situation trying to pinpoint things. I don't want you to overthink it. I want you to ask yourself the question. I want you to journal about it. I want you to keep asking the question until you get to the moment that feels like the moment. Because we might go back to like, oh yeah, when he dumped me when I was 16, or when my daddy didn't come pick me up when I was 10. But it might be even deeper than that. It might be further back than that. Something I did at the beach yesterday, which is the reason why it took me out and I couldn't have this conversation, was I sat and I did this. I heard this lady. Her name's Bev Tucker. She does deliverance ministry. Talk about I don't forgot where she was. She was on a few podcasts that I listened to. So she talked about helping this young woman like walk herself out of like this trapped place. The woman had had an abortion and she felt trapped by this thing. And you know, it she feels like it was the entryway for, a stronghold over her life and spirits and things of that nature. If you know, you know. If you don't, I'm gonna need you to just get in your Bible, do some research so you can understand what I'm talking about. But pretty much, if in layman's terms, she felt like a piece of her was trapped in that space and time of when she did that. And so she talked about walking herself out, like envisioning her self now going back and getting that person that she was in that moment from that space and walking her into freedom. And I said, that sounds really good. Let me try it. So, a few of the things or moments that I had come to the conclusion of that had created these rejection wounds in me, I pretty much like envisioned those moments. So I remember one of them was a friendship one that I hadn't thought about in years, like quite literally haven't thought about in years. And it started with a best friend of mine from my childhood. Um, Shout out to my girl Tamika because we still talk to this day. That's my girl though. We went through something. We were kids, but this moment shaped how I dealt with friendships from then on. And there was a little bit of betrayal in it. And it truly gave me the semblance. I remember walking away from what happened thinking that like I wasn't good enough to be friends with. I remember walking away thinking that like that I was like bad, or that just an overall identity of like I'm not enough. And this is after this is because I'm a little older. I think I had to be like maybe 9 or 10, somewhere in that age range, because now this is like way after the initial rejection wound of the parental rejection wounds, coming about, um, giving me the sense of identity of like I'm not enough to be loved. I have to work for it. I have to do all these things. And now here this one happens and it reinforces what I'm already telling myself. I'm already telling myself that, and it's very unconsciously that you're doing it, especially as a kid. You have no clue that you're putting these things inside of your mind and then it's repeating itself. And like, I feel like you have no like awareness of what's happening to you because as children, we are not emotionally intelligent. I feel like even when we grow up with emotionally intelligent parents, like it takes a long time to develop that emotional intelligence to understand that you're telling yourself a lie or that you are identifying with something that is not you, that was never meant to be you. So anyway, this moment had reinforced what was already inside of me. So I'm like envisioning myself at that park after the fight. I'm envisioning what it even unearthed a moment with this young man who I can't even remember who he is, what he like. I don't remember anything. I just remember what he said to me, and it reinforced a body dysmorphia about me having small boobs. And I will never forget, I like literally will never forget that moment. It's almost like core memories that created this idea that like having small boobs was just not enough. Um, and ultimately I went and got my boobs done, right? So anyway, it was that moment too. So I'm walking, I'm like envisioning myself walking into the park and grabbing my hand. And I can't actually see that version of me completely because I feel like when I'm envisioning it, I was there. So I'm like looking through that lens, and it's like myself now and myself then walking. So it's almost like I'm watching two. How do I explain that? Because it's like you know what you see when you look. If you're not looking in the mirror, you know what you see. It was almost like I was seeing it twice. Hopefully that helps. And we just began walking, and then we grabbed the hand of. I was sitting against. I was at the end of the park when the little boy said something to me, and we grabbed her hand, and then I envisioned myself in this another moment, and we grabbed her hand, and I just began walking myself out. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Um, of all these situations where I really felt stuck there, and I didn't really realize like how much that was affecting me. Like these moments in time where that part of myself got stuck there. It's I guess I can give an example of like when I watched the Michael Jackson movie, right? I cried because I watching that version of the movie of his life, or like that version of a biopic of him, because I don't know if you've seen the other ones. It just gave a different perspective to why he had this childlikeness to him, and how I feel like he kind of got stuck being a child because he never got to be a child. So he searched for that all the time. Like his little Michael was just stuck inside of big Michael. And that's how I felt. And I began to weep on that beach, and I envisioned us walking through a door that just was like this bright light, and meeting Jesus at the end of it, and him hugging us, and me as we're walking out I'm like telling myself, we have to get out of here, we have to go, we can't stay here anymore, that we are enough, that we are loved, that see, it's hard because you think you believe these things, and then you start doing this work and you realize like, dang, I don't think I really truly deeply in my core believe that. I think I just say it because I'm supposed to. But I do now deeply in my core know. I know and believe, like I know that I'm loved. I know that I'm enough. I know everything about me was made the way it was supposed to be. Like this is God appointed me for this time. He did all those things and allowed things and let me have my free will and just wreak havoc in my life because it was for a time like this, literally. And so as I'm walking them out, and we're, versions of me just hugging Jesus and running through the door, I'm not gonna lie, there were some versions of me that fought back, and I still gotta go get them. I still have to go get them. I feel like that's the deliverance part, where there's a stronghold on that part, that something is not letting them go. Um, Bev Tucker also referred to it as like a piece of your soul being, stuck in that space, and like having to restore the whole thing. Because I feel like when things happen, not I feel like, but the understanding of what was said, and now it is a belief of mine, is um, when these things happen to you, it causes fractures of your soul, not your spirit, but your soul. And when it does that, you don't feel whole. There's always this emptiness. You're always searching, you're always looking, and it's I feel like it's almost hard to explain if you don't know. But I'll get more words for it, I promise. I will find language for it. But that's pretty much it. Like I just feel like my soul is fractured and it's broken, and pieces of it are stuck in these time frames where these things have happened to me, and it's my job to go get little Qlin and bring her through the door, because that's where Jesus is. That's where the love is. That's where my identity is. That's where my understanding of who I am is. And that's how I'm going to become a whole person. Um, I also did a series about becoming, because that's the season I'm in. I'm in the becoming season. I'm in the uprooting the rejection wounds. I'm in the uprooting the abandonment wounds. I'm in the season of like doing the hard, deep thought work to just be the version of myself that God called me to be, that He always knew I would be for a time like this. And I say a time like this because I've known for a very long time. I knew when I was a teen mom, I knew that I was going to have to tell my story. I knew that I was going to have to share with people how I went from A, B, C to Z and help. I never knew how it was going to be done. I just knew that it had to be done. And I always had this yearning to talk. I love talk shows. I loved like watching people heal. I love podcasts radio and then we transformed into the podcast era. Like I love all of it all the time. And it's kind of like starting to make sense to me on why this is like the thing that He has me walking through. So I will say again, journal, continue to ask yourself the question of where, when, and why. Like the who's and the who did it. I feel like it doesn't really matter because once you get to the where it happened and when it happened, you can kind of start to unfold all of the feelings behind it, and then the forgiveness starts to take root. Forgiveness is for us, I promise you. I used to be so angry, never want to forgive anything, anybody, holding on to bitterness, but like forgiveness is really for you because the moment I dropped that bitterness, there was just such this heaviness just like comes off. It doesn't mean you forget. It doesn't mean that you have to like go back and like heal the relationship. If that's not what God's telling you to do, don't do it. But forgiveness is for you. You cannot get anything out of anything without forgiving those who have like transgressed you. Like, I don't even know if that's a word, but have done anything to harm you, wrong you. If you don't forgive them truly inside of you, you will never get what God has for you. It doesn't matter. He's not going, you could pray up a storm. He's not going to answer them because it's about, you have to forgive in your heart. You have to be pure of heart first. So do the work. Journal. Ask yourself the question of when. Walk through the situations. Sit with it. It's going to hurt. You're going to cry. You're going to be sad. But there's joy on the other side of it. And if you can do the work of the envisioning, do it. Sit and envision yourself. Even if it's in the situation where, sexual abuse. That was a tough one for me. Sit. Go get that person. It's you. Go get it. Go get them. I don't want to say it. Sorry. Go get them. Him or her. Go get them. Save them, because saving them is saving you. That's how I felt. I felt like I was saving these little versions of me and like running them through the door. Like, come on, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. And the relief I felt, even with the ones that didn't want to go, who showed resistance, who were being, it was almost like I was playing tug of war. Like they were being pulled like this. And in order to save everyone else, I had to let go. I'm not sure what that means yet, but I'm going to sit with it again. I'm going to try to go save them. I'm going to continue to pray. I'm going to continue to ask God to bind up whatever strong man is inside and to loose me of whatever is happening and restore my soul. It literally, in the word, it tells you that He's the restorer of souls. Like, He's your redeemer. He's your healer. He's your provider. He is your peace. He is your love. Like, God gave us our identity, and I promise you, you will find it in Him. But if you aren't ready to do the work with Christ, at least start on this side of it. Journaling, asking the hard questions, sitting in the moments, and then possibly envisioning everything that we just talked about. Like envisioning yourself, getting those people out, getting those little versions of yourself out. And so I hope that my little TED Talk today bless you, but also helps you I want my story to impact in ways that help and heal. Um, I know there will be judgment, there will be people who and naysayers and meanies, but you have no power here, honestly, truthfully. I am on assignment and there's nothing that anybody can do or say. It might hurt my little feelings. I ain't gonna lie. I'm still human, but it will not knock me off course. I will not allow anybody else in this world to knock me off course again because I've been derailed. Like I've been derailed a few times, and we're not allowing that to happen again. So, yeah, I just hope that this helps. Do the work, and you will start to see the fruit of it. I promise. This is about progression, not perfection. The only person in this world that was ever perfect was Jesus. Okay? We only strive to be that perfect. All right? Well, I'm out. I'm about to go take a shower because I stink and wash my dish and reheat this cold behind coffee and then get on with my day. So I guess I will see you guys later. Bye.